What I do is I assist people to connect to their higher levels of consciousness. I help them gain back and retrieve back their soul fragmentation through all time and space. So whether that's within this lifetime or whether it's an ancestral line, soul fragmentation also from a galactic sense. So there's many misalignments with our star family that has held a little bit of trauma from a soul level of understanding.
Welcome to the Spiritual Quest podcast, a transformative journey where we step into a world of wonder and exploration, seeking answers to profound questions. Why am I here? What is my mission in life? And how can I make a positive impact in this world? Join me and my inspiring guests on a spiritual quest to fully embrace your uniqueness and speak your truth with grace and gratitude. I am your host, Vibecke Garnaas, always guided by spirit. Hello, my friends, and welcome to another empowering episode right here on the Spiritual Quest podcast. Well, I'm really excited for today's conversation because lately I've been meeting some wonderful souls on this human journey. And I recently connected with another light being, and I was just intrigued by her beautiful essence. And I thought she has some really great gifts that I would like to share with you, my audience. So I'm very excited for this upcoming conversation with Nicola Light. So let's welcome her to the Spiritual Quest podcast. Welcome.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm really, really happy to be here. It's such a privilege. So thank you.
Well, it's my great pleasure. And like I said, we recently met. So we're
Yes.
going to dive in. I'm going to get to know you better as well. So why don't we start there, Nicola? Why don't you please just share a little bit about your background, who you are, and what you do as a galactic shaman?
Yeah. So it's such a long journey since I got to this point where I'm at. It sort of started in that sort of time of the 2012 era of many souls awakening to their true path. So I'm completely different to who I used to be. Which it really, that sort of question, I sort of like look deep down inside of myself and think, oh my gosh, the journey that I've traveled to get here, like many people that will be listening today, that they think and they see are all these beautiful people that come onto your channel is like, how can I get there? So my journey was all through meditation. And then my gift of light language came through. So I've mastered my language of light, which has enabled me to sort of release all of that I am not into then being told by my higher self that I am a galactic shaman. So that is the title that I chose today for you. And what is that? So what I do is I assist people to connect to their higher levels of consciousness. I help them gain back and retrieve back their soul fragmentation through all time and space. So whether that's within this lifetime or whether it's an ancestral line, soul fragmentation also from a galactic sense. So there's many misalignments with our star family that has held a little bit of trauma from a soul level of understanding. So when we're in our body, then I can sort of work with them like a normal shaman would do, or a healing person, somebody that would work from an indigenous sort of structure. But what I do mainly is actually I travel through time and space as I go through my journey and go and search for little pockets of the trauma of the person that I work with. I mainly work with people like healers and people well on their journey, but I also help people with the potential of their healing gifts and talents to come online. So a galactic shaman is somebody that transmutes negative energy through their field. I use my codes to help them release negative energy and to activate them into the new level of their understanding, as well as actually getting data, information from my galactic team that comes and works with me as well. And the team that I work with, as I would say, would be an aspect of myself. So I don't tend to sort of search outwardly and then draw that energy in. I work with myself, and those aspects come through as a channeling through me to enable me to then connect with other people's higher selves. And then that's where we blend the energy in a beautiful unified field of light. And then we then anchor that into their system, and then they can move forward on with their journey. So that's me now.
Oh, I love that. And it really resonates with me. Now I understand why I was really drawn to your work and you as a human being as well. The essence of what you're uh, presenting as you're speaking as well. I'm seeing and feeling and sensing that the connection that you are speaking about through our higher minds or higher self, but also through the essence of our divine nature on the other side, allowing that and helping people to reconnect with that. That is what I do. It's what I've been doing for most of my life actually, but now it's more specifically just like you. I work with healers and light workers and star seeds to activate their channel and to
Yeah.
do and fulfill their missions. So no coincidence there as well, right? And so that makes us, a good team, I would say, for today's conversation, because I did ask
Yes.
my spiritual team what they thought that would be a great topic for you and I to come together and co-create a beautiful synergy of energy to project and to give forth for our listeners. And they said, it's really important at this moment because there's so many awakening, of course, and we're all on this ascension path. So higher consciousness and how to move as souls having this human journey on this ascension path, experiencing it as a human being. How do we do this? And how can we recognize our soul aspects coming to life, because it's lighting up within us now. It's calling on us. That's why so many people are like feeling and experiencing so much beauty in a challenging time, because it's choice, right? We do have this free will. So
Mm,
let's go into that. I would love for you to explain about how you interpret what's going on through your soul
mm,
gifts, what's going on with this ascension process, and how can we navigate it?
mm. So when we're sort of birthed into the system, into the physical body, whether we're sort of birthed in through the birthing canal or whether we birth in later on, because some of us actually come in a little bit later in fragments and sort of portions of ourselves, which what happened to me, is that we go through the human experience, which is all that we're not. So we're programmed from an outer force with our parents, ancestors, media, culture, social media, or everything sort of programs us into, when we're younger, at a young age, of this is who you are. So we hold an illusionary field of a template of understanding who I am. So we search, don't we, about, well, why am I here, what am I doing, what are my capabilities? I couldn't fit in at school. I didn't really resonate with anything that was happening, with my, sort of students that were in the same school as me, and I just didn't really fit in. So I knew that I was slightly different, and I even felt very different within my family. So I sort of popped in to this physical body that held an awful lot of data, DNA structure from ancestral trauma. So if you're awakening as a light language, as a light worker, shall I say, you're going to sort of feel those restrictions within you from awakening. But it's almost like a bud or a seed that starts to grow, that light starts to come in, which ignites yourself. And it usually happens from a bit of a spark of a bit of a trauma with many people's lives, whether it's unsatisfaction or however it is, whatever sort of sparks us into what we typically would say a dark night of the soul, is at that point we can then actually start to question a little bit more. So as you start to question, you start to search. And as you start to search, then you start to then go question a little bit more, and you search a bit more, and you question a little bit more. And then you're guided to, with the synchronicities from your higher self, to situations such as listening to this podcast, or searching YouTube, or whatever it is, books and all of this sort of stuff. And you start searching through it. Then you start to open your energetic field up through the heart center. As you come more out of the mind, you go down into the heart, and then you can start to anchor in to the body. But also, what we do when we're in that stage of not remembering who we are, we then identify with the body and mind so much. So the evolution of the soul's journey is to connect with your hearts. It's to connect right here so that the energy can start to open up. Now, what I always say is that the next step is, and the availability for all of us to tap into, is that force of energy that sits outside of the body. So as you rise up as a light worker, you can start to feel the energy that sits in your hand. Now, so I originated from Reiki Master, which was the first beginnings of my journey of awareness of even that I held energy that could come out of my hands, and then gradual stepping stones and pathways that will come in, that the synchronicities come in, that we can then do this, do that, do this. So it's a beautiful pathway as we step by step by step. Each phase gives us an understanding who we are. Then we can then start working on ourselves deeper by seeing who we are not, which is the emotional state. So once we move through that emotional state, which holds the vibration of energy, then we can then lighten ourselves up yet again by using our breath. And this is a beautiful thing that has been on my journey, that has been given to me step by step by step. I have had outward forces of attending different workshops and things like that, which I was guided to. But it allowed me to release the emotion and the suppression of my light. We sort of sit in this sort of illusionary field that sort of suppresses us from being who we truly are. And so it's important for us to take that ownership of our own trauma within and go inside, because that beautiful bubble of light that sits deep inside of ourselves needs to sort of shift the outward illusion of ourselves. And then gradually, then we start to blossom, and then we start to be as we are. We start to download more that we are and release all that we're not. So it's very simple, but not at the same time. Depends how
Yeah,
you see things.
I know. It's a journey. I
It
guess
is a journey.
it is a
Mm.
journey, and I love the way you so easily and simplified can explain it with easy words, because I think there's a trend now that or has been at least, that this is a difficult way of explaining things, and you have to go deep, you have to be in a what do you call it, like in English, an expansive way of your mind, like you have to really be in a deep trance to understand who you are. But we find out with this ascension process and with the energies rising that we are easily more in tune with our higher minds and the collective, as well as
Mm.
highly sensitive beings on this journey. And I'm specifically now, actually, I want to just, I don't like to label, but let's do it just for this moment, just to give a bit of clarity. So, through my Life Between Lives journey with other clients, I've seen that there's three different soul groups, I would say, that usually comes into this earthly experience. You have the
Mm.
souls that mainly prefer to be incarnated on Earth, which are mainly Earth based. Then you have the interplanetary souls, which also can be recognized as star seeds, right? And then you have the galactic souls, or not the galactic, I'm sorry, angelic souls, that is maybe less, but they're still choosing to come to Earth. So, in this aspect, looking at it from a soul perspective and being on this ascension process, having these human bodies being channels for our own spirit and soul, how
Mm.
would you say that this adopted patterns that we've been imprinted with, adopted, or we've chosen to take on in order to protect our own spirit, our own soul sovereignty, right?
Mm.
Now is being shifted through the ascension process because the energy is vibrating higher, and we're having to shed what is keeping us stuck in the lower dimensions, right? So
Yeah.
how would you explain that from a soul being an interplanetary or star seed? For many of the people who connect with me are star seeds because that's the kind of soul that I am. I'm not only
Yeah.
here, I mainly on the other side, on the other planets. I'm just here on a mission. It's like I'm very attuned with that. So with my
Yeah.
Pleiadian star team, but so how would you explain the ascension process seen from a soul perspective and how that will affect the human in this?
Mm, mm, mm. That's a really interesting sort of perspective of understanding within those sort of segments of understanding the different souls' journey. Um, and I'd like to invite another level to that is that we are all of it. So, depending on your perspective of where you're at, you could perceive yourself to be a soul journey of human, and then you rise into galactic and an angelic sense of being. So, we can be all of it if we look at it from the perspective of all that is. So, oneness is that we are all, but where do we play? So, if we label ourselves as a starseed Pleiadian, then we will play in Pleiadian. And if we open ourselves up into another perspective of being, we can also be human soul. And then we can also be angelic soul and Fae soul and Gaia soul, celestial beingness. So it depends on where you want to play, really. My main focus is galactic. As you say, you use galactic shaman. It's my main focus. Um, if we look at angelic, it's very much, it feels like there's an awful lot of people on their journey that start to invite in angelic um, masters, ascended masters, etc. Where we play within a dualistic experience, I would be very, very careful with that journey if you feel you're angelic, that you're inviting in archangels, because sometimes there is a little bit of trickstery energy around that. So we don't want to go into the darkness of it. But what I've discovered within myself is that I love the angelic essence, but it is my essence of being an angel. So to ignite your essence of the angelic is to invite yourself in and to ignite it within inside of yourself, rather than invoking something from outside of yourself. Now, your team of other levels of consciousness will come in as these other perceived ideas of consciousness vibration of Archangel Michael. So you get the real deal when you come inside out rather than outside in. And this is the same as a galactic soul essence, is that when you're just literally firm-footed upon the ground, so when you're really grounded in body, we can download all of these conscious apps, we could say, within ourselves that, well, okay, we've got a bit of Pleiadian, we've got some Arcturian, we have this, and this aspect of ourselves. But through the experience of it and the embodiment of it, we can take identification of it. So we can also be, as I said, human self. So we've been there, done that, got the t-shirt, we know what it's like to be human. But how do we then integrate each of these aspects of ourselves into one soul awareness? Which is something that I love working with, is that when people ask me, well, where do I come from? What's this? I don't, but you are everything. But it's where we choose to play within our template. How do we see ourselves? So I see myself so much into the perspective of Pleiadian. It is my main source of intelligence that works with the emotional field of humanity, when we can help and assist people release those lower emotion vibrations in the body itself and in the deep cellular structure of the body. So if you're questioning who am I, you are everything. But it depends, where do you want to play? Do the angelic realms really light you up? Or is it that the star seed origins from galactic self, which, we are coming from these different varying vibrations of consciousness? But it's where do you want to play, would be my reply to your question, if that makes sense.
Yes, it completely makes sense. And I love the way my spiritual team says it. It's on a soul's journey, we are all one. In spirit, we are all alike. And in knowing this, there is no discrimination. And it means no discrimination in this earthly plane or on the
Yeah.
other planes, because there are things and energies, like you said, lower frequencies and higher frequencies. They're all there. It's
Yeah.
not only on this planet, it's out there as
Oh,
well.
yeah.
So we have to learn how to navigate. And what you're gifting us by sharing this is how to navigate and practice discerning energy in this
Yeah.
human body, but also
Yes.
discerning our soul sovereignty, right? And
Yeah.
reconnecting with that, knowing that we can be everything, and with that we are everything. And I remember, I just want to share this because it kind of makes a human perspective, puts a human perspective on it.
Yeah.
When I kind of woke up again, reawakened, I would say it, to my authentic self, I was connecting with my soul. I was on a soul journey. I was doing my training with the Life Between Lives hypnotherapy. And my guide asked me, or the facilitator asked me, what is your soul name? And I know that a lot of people want to know their own soul name. For me, it's just
Mm.
vibration. It's how, but it's a frequency. So it's not something that I actually can put into words, but it was gifted to me in an understanding so that I would sort of understand myself. And
Mm.
it just made it kind of, I was curious when I got the name, because I said my soul name is Enigma. And at that, I started to cry, because what is an enigma? And I've never gotten, understood myself. I mean, when I thought I knew myself, something else popped up, like a new soul aspect. And I'm like, what? And I have come to learn that there is so much to me that I'm not even trying to understand
Yes.
and or explain who I am. I'm like, oh,
No.
today I'm feeling like more celestial today. It's like,
Yeah.
that's my soul aspect today. Oh, no, I'm more sacred white feather today, because I feel that soul aspect is more out there today. It's like
Yeah.
it's
Mm.
just allowance of all of me, and the aspects
Mm.
that's coming to life is divinely timed. When I'm
Yeah.
ready, when we are ready, we do connect. It's not like you said, something we have to go and get out there. It is actually in here. And when we are attuned, it activates and we're
Yeah.
there. It's all there. But do we really want to know everything at all, at once? Because the ego wants to. I want to know myself. I want this. I want that. And then when we are on this journey, we
Yeah.
experience the different vibrations, and why it's such key to be on this journey, to embrace this human life, and to
Yeah.
love our lives, and to
Yeah.
ground it so we can be that bridge for that beautiful energy that we all embody,
Yeah.
and start expressing it through higher consciousness. So that kind of moves us into, let's move into higher consciousness for a moment, because
Mhm.
we are talking about moving humanity into a 5D consciousness, right? But
Mm.
my spiritual team has told me that to be able to move into 5D, you have to activate the 4D, which is the gateway. It's the heart vibration. That's the 4D. That will allow you. And we are finding ourselves, or at least the people that I interact with, find that they are fully embodying and in that 4D consciousness of
Mm.
choosing the mind and the heart coherence and acting on that. So we're kind of in that process, because we have to bring our minds in coherence with the heart. So that's kind of the
Mm.
embodiment phase that we're in, right? So that we can
Yeah.
embody that higher frequency in order to create the structures for the 5D, so that we can build that new earth, right? And so
Yeah.
that's what I'm feeling when I'm connecting with you and other light beings that's here sharing their light, is exactly that we're bringing and gifting our vibration to the new structure in order to lift the vibration of the conversations that's going on in the external world, right? That we're holding
Yeah.
space. It's all about
Yeah.
holding space, to be honest.
Hmm.
To hold that vibration, we have free will. We can choose to listen to this podcast, or we can go and listen to something else that's not serving of the highest good of all, or the highest good of you, because it's all interconnected. Because we understand that we have to honor the individual within the oneness in order to get to the oneness. So through
Yes,
self-love.
exactly.
Yeah, so it's like we have to. So I believe that the 4D, I would like to have your take on this, is what opens us up to what you're sharing about the multidimensional aspects coming to life, and for us to anchor those energies of our soul essence into this body so we can allow higher consciousness and build that bridge, because it's not something we can build from the structure of the 3D of that
Mm-mm-mm.
reality. It's not possible. So what
Yeah.
is your take on the ascension through 4D and into 5D?
Mm-mm-mm. So the first understanding is the humanness, is, the first steps of our journey. We know what it's like to be human. We know physicality. We've been to school, biology, and all of that beautiful science stuff that sits in the mind. But as we sort of morph and change into opening up the heart, then we can then start, as I said before, opening up our energetic field and our connection with our body to feel into our light bodies, our emotional body, our mental body, our astral body. So it's awareness. So when we allow the ego to sort of understand through the experience of, oh, I'm getting tingles all over my body right now. What is that? Because I don't know that from a 3D reality of body and mind. So it's almost like I'm a child at that stage. I can only see myself in the mirror and see and, think of me as an individual from that perspective. But as we move more into that fourth dimension, as we start to shift in our vibration, we activate that central column of light that runs through the body. And then the activation of third eye, moving down to the heel for the healing journey. Um, and it's that full embodiment that will help you shift all of that lower body vibration out of your system so that you can hold that embodiment. Now, what I speak about an awful lot of the time on my YouTube channel is about the illusionary field. If we look at Gaia as a total, as that beautiful mother celestial being that we all reside upon, and that we are her because of the elements that she holds, we hold the similarity with her also, is that when she is resonating at a frequency of light that holds us, but on top of that, there's this illusionary field that we tap into, which is a suppressive energy that sits within. So once we start to open up that heart more and anchor down that light into the heel, so that we're really grounding into the original template of Gaia, we can start to activate within us our own blueprint, our soul imprint into why we came here in the first place. The primary mission to be on earth is just to be human being. And then we then start to search in, well, what's the doing? Where do I play within my doing? So the movement is just to be, literally just to be, to see your emotional states, to see your mind blocks, to see the subconscious mind, to see everything, as I said before, who you are not. And then that opens up the energetic field into the next level of understanding. So we start to increase the intensity of the amplification of light within us. So rather than be just a tiny little speck, we start to blossom inside, and that strengthens the energetic field, which then brings in more intelligence, more consciousness that we literally breathe in to our bodies. The bridge is the breath. We must know this. We've got the body, we've got the esoteric or the higher levels of consciousness. What bridges both of us with a similarity through the dimensions is breathing. But we see air as an element as just the breath of, from a physical perspective. But when we can switch ourselves into up a notch of the element of breath, we can breathe in light breath, and we breathe it in to activate the heart. So we may have like codes that have come online, like language, etc., or different mantras that we might use within ourselves. But it literally is breath. That's all you need. It's the biggest, most simplest thing that we all do as human beings is to breathe. So with the intention from our mind, we can connect to our breath, set the intention to breathe in consciousness, because consciousness is all this. We see it as space, but it's not. It's all consciousness. We breathe in consciousness, and we expand into the heart, and we allow it to flow through us. As humans in a 3D reality, we breathe in, fear, hold it, and where does it get stored? Straight in your shoulder. It gets stored. So we need to let everything flow through us, which is a very different concept of being. But as you move through into fourth dimension, you start to get the hang of it. You start like, oh, so you literally set an intention to release everything that you are not, everything that no longer serves you. There you go. And you send it off. And I always say, put it in a little energetic bin, stick it in a pot, pop it on the shelf, put it in the Akashic records. It's data. It's like your mobile phone. If you've got a load of sort of information on there and it comes up to full capacity, you've got to make space. So by moving that energy out, you create space. And then you download more of you, more of these aspects, more higher levels of consciousness. And then you start then getting all these beautiful new apps that you can access. And, oh yeah, I'm going to access the Pleiadian app, boom, boom, boom. Oh, that gives me these tools of reality. But it is me that is bringing and anchoring it down into my body. But as we move into the fifth dimension, to hold fifth dimension and beyond, is to fully activate the vessel, which is the movement into 13 activation points within the body. This is recently came forward for my inner light wisdom. So I get all of this intelligence coming. I'm like, whoa, that's amazing. And I'm like, whoa, that's another thing. So I get layers of remembrance. So basically we have the 7 major chakra systems in our central column of light. We have obviously the external column of light, so we're well protected within this shield. The one above us, our galactic star, is another point to ignite our connection to higher levels of consciousness. And the original star of Gaia, the Earth star, moving through the illusionary field. The other 4 are our hands and our feet. So we must ignite these beautiful things into expressing the heart. So as it moves down through, it moves through out of the limbs, out of the palms and fingertips. And as you allow it to move through the spinal column, it moves and tucks under and anchors into what I call the ruby red, so the base chakra, splits at the hips. So the arms and the legs are the same but different. They move through and then move down past the knees, out into the heel. And when I was told this, heal for the healing journey, Nicola. Whoa! I was like, light bulb, heal for the healing journey. Wow, so it's got to run down the back end. All the subconscious energy can run down. So we don't need to have to go into the detail of whys and wherefore we're stuck in blocks, etc. And the soul is where the soul anchors into the earth plate or below. So it's the soul and the heal. So to heal, you bring your soul into embodiment. It's the full activation of the Merkaba that allows us through those 13 points. So 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. That is where we then will move into that next dimensional shift, because we can tap into it and then say, oh my God, I'm in 5D. No, you're not.
No.
You're in fourth. You're in transition.
I know.
So,
I'm just laughing because that is typical. I do meet that energy sometimes. It's like, oh, got this now. No, I don't got it.
mm-mm. Yeah,
Humility. No, you don't got it. Calm
yeah,
down.
yeah, yeah.
It's
So funny.
like I said, I'm an enigma. I will never get myself. I'm doing all that I can to get to know myself. Of course, I do. That's why I'm on this
Yes.
journey, embody who I am. But I have to love that I don't understand myself completely. And I believe that I will understand it when I go home. But now
Yes.
my journey is acceptance. I am accepting all my soul
Yes.
aspects. I'm embodying it, and I'm acting upon what is coming from my heart and mind in coherence for the
Mm.
greater good. And I know that when I do this, this is for my highest good as well.
Yeah.
So it's a choice. And I love the way when, okay, so I want to dive into this now with you because I love our
Okay.
conversation. So, because I've been taught by my spiritual team that
Mm.
I'm a very sensitive. I'm a double Scorpio and I'm a Cancerian moon, which means I'm very sensitive and I'm like when I latch onto something, I'm there emotional, right? So I have to really get to know my emotions and release, which it's been kind of difficult sometimes because you have to learn how to be um sensitive in a world that doesn't honor sensitivity, right? At least not when
Mm-mm-mm.
I woke up. And I've been doing this my whole life. And I remember, having my spiritual team with me as a child all the way into my mother's womb. So it's not like it's new things to me, but you want to fit in, right? You want to be part of this life journey, right? And not be looked at as the weird kid. And at least I was like trying to just, oh, let's put it over there because nobody else is having these experiences. So let me just be normal in their eyes. Of course, that doesn't work in the long run. So I've had
Yeah.
my meetings with the Dark Night of the Soul, of course, to reawaken
Yeah.
to my truth, and to start embodying and embracing this soul journey from the soul perspective. So kind of
Mm.
dedicated my life doing that. But when I'm meeting the emotions of it, I've had
Mm.
some long discussions about emotions and the vibration and the power of the emotions that we are so lucky as human beings to have because we are the species in the galaxy that actually has the heightened emotional state. So we
Mm.
are tapping into the soul through our soul aspect, the ability to heal galactic trauma in this lifetime because of these heightened emotions, because we
Yes.
can navigate them through the
Yes.
lycos and look, and we can embody it. So when I
Yeah.
started to reframe that, oh, sensitivity is so hard when you're feeling the lower vibration of it, I just, oh, because when you're feeling the low vibration, you got the opposite in this duality of the high vibration. So you got really high vibrations, and then you have to choose that. And then
Yeah.
to understand the validity of our emotions and can be able to separate it from the feeling state, right? So
Yes.
that the
Yeah.
feeling state is not the same as the emotional state unless you make it like if you choose it to be. So when I could separate that on my emotions is
Mm.
everything that I'm able to express through the beingness, and then the feelings I choose through what I believe, what I'm adopted to. And that's just signalizing when I'm feeling not good or limited in some way. I know it's not me, it's just my light signalizing through my body that that's not you. This, you got to
Yeah.
transform this, you got to let this go. So, what
Yeah.
is your thought about emotions and feelings when it comes to
Mm.
the soul aspect?
Yeah, working with the Pleiadians is that beautiful essence that they work with you with the emotions. So they do an awful lot of work with me with understanding the emotional code held within the body, etc. So that sort of phase of understanding myself sort of went into me sort of creating at the time I called it cry therapy, which is the honoring of the emotional state, but releasing it energetically. So it's the emotion that we sort of hold within ourselves is through the experience of suppression, when we connect with other people from another time in space. So an ex-partner, somebody upset you, you know, we experienced a spontaneous injection of energy of, whoa, I felt anger there, but very subconscious. As you sort of go through the awakening journey, you become more conscious that you're expressing the emotions, and that actually that you sort of almost step outside of yourself to see the emotion being played out. And then we can make a choice at that point, as we sort of evolve through the journey of it, is then we don't identify with the emotion. We simply say, ah, my body is holding anger. Amazing. Thank you for triggering the energy of anger within me so that I can release who I'm not, release that energy of anger, which is a gift. But when we don't understand that, we blame others, we push fingers out, we point at them, we say, you made me angry. No, you hold the anger inside of yourself. It's not them. They're doing a good job to show you you're holding anger. So when you can sort of flip the coin and see in the mirror that sort of comes forward from others, then you can embrace the emotions and play with the emotion. So I do this all the time, and I can process the energy of sadness, fear, and anger very quickly. Uh, I love to sort of self-analyze myself and self-awareness into, okay, that triggered me. Where's that come from?
Mm.
Where did it originate within me? What is holding that? Is there a cord and contract within it with that individual that's creating that experience? So the synchronicities of the universe has presented it for me, that I can then heal through the journey of it, meaning move the energy through me and allow that energy to flow through me rather than holding it within my body.
Oh, I
So then we
love that
then
you're saying this. I love that you're
mm,
saying this. I just have to say
so
that.
important. Yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you. But it is. It's allowing the energy, just like if you saw an antelope being chased by a lion, it literally runs, holds the fear within it, and then once it's got away from the lion, what does it do? It shakes itself off and then continues to eat with the herd. What do? We procrastinate in our minds of like, and we keep that trauma within. Oh, they said this, they said that, and we create a story. And that's where the ego mind comes in. This is where we hold the trauma inside of ourselves with the identification of the past us, in the past, not of the now. So as we're more focused in the now, embodied, our emotions can be fluently running through us. Let it go, shake it through the body, let it go, move it out of the energetic field. And then you invite in that next level, that space that you've created inside of yourself. And boom, shakalaka, here you go. Oh, that beautiful light comes in. And then you're in joy, you're in peace, you're in that satisfaction of the body saying, that feels good. It doesn't feel tense within me. I don't feel I'm suppressed. Okay, universe, what's next? What are you going to give me next? Bring it in, because I can process this like that now. Before, I would be months and months and months of this and that and this and that. There's no judgment of it. It was a journey. It was a beautiful journey. But now I'm awakening through and activating my 13 centers. I'm like, no, it doesn't serve me. It anchors me down into the third dimension. And so it's no criticism of third dimension. It's a beautiful place. It depends how you see it. You know, we can look
Correct.
at, we can look at it and it can be so beautiful. But where do we play? Do we focus on the light of the planet and the beauty of the planet and the connection with these beautiful beings that are on the planet? Or we see and look at the destruction and the deconstruction of the planet, with all the trauma, with all the media, with all the conspiracy theories that would come forward, and all of it, all of the deconstruction of the old earth? We can play in that, certainly, or we can be aware of it. And there's the shift within us. It's the awareness for us to then receive that sense of ascension, that rising of the vibration that we hold.
Mm.
Mm.
Wow, this conversation is wonderful. I love it. So thank you so much. But we have to wrap up. But before we
Mm.
end, let's give our listeners some tips and tools, maybe, in order to recognize Ascension symptoms, let's call
Mhm.
it that, and how they can move the energies, as you have so beautifully described, but simple techniques like grounding and all that. But I want to hear
Yeah,
from you a few tips how to move through this ascension process.
yeah. Keep it as simple as possible. Keep it as simple as possible. So we're looking at the grounding aspect. So go and sit under a tree. If you place your back against a tree is a beautiful conduit of light, and it will literally move the energy through. If you place the intention to connect with a tree, that element, or a rock, or whatever it is laying on the grass, connect with Mother Gaia and all of her beautiful beings that exist there. So that sense of connection, allow yourself to do that. The breath, so literally switch on the intuitive breath, whether you do it from a mindful breath, which is more about going to a practice where we start to breathe in for 4, out for 4, and all of that, or whether you just sit there in meditation, being in the now, that allows you then just to observe the breath as it moves through you. Does it start to heighten within you, or does it stop almost, like you feel like you're not breathing at all? So it's the grounding, it's the breath. And then it's just the awareness when we're in meditation that we can start to sort of move into this area here, the third eye connection, as we rise up into the heart. I've got a beautiful friends actually that always say, and I don't tend to practice it myself because I'm aware of my heart, but if people are on the beginning of their journey, just by placing your hands on your heart, or one hand on your heart, you can then focus the energy down to this space, and then have an inner dialogue with yourself, and then start to discern what is the ego mind and what is the higher mind. The ego mind will have criticism, an emotional response. So anything that's emotional is ego. Everything that is from a higher level consciousness will be from a place of neutrality. It will be it just is type energy. So that beautiful guidance, that inner guidance, will move you through that journey. And remember, your high self is you. It's just guiding you to that embodiment of higher self within. So we can act out of ego. We could go play in ego. That's amazing. Go and do it if you wish. And then also go play in high levels of consciousness where we can embody, breathe in the light. And so that's my offering, is just keep it really simple. The very big basic foundational information that we get on the beginning of our journey, but we can deepen into the levels and layers of it. Gratitude, all of that sort of beautiful stuff. So yeah.
So thank you so much, Nicola, for being here and sharing
A
your
pleasure.
beautiful journey with us. It's amazing. And I'm deeply moved by the way you share your gift with the world. And I truly appreciate you. And
Thank you.
for everyone watching and listening today, thank you so much for being here. You will find all of Nicola's information in the episode description. So if you want to connect with her, all the information is right there serving you. So thank you again, Nicola. And to everyone, see you next time. Love and light. Bye now.
Thank you. Bye.